I realize I'm very late at reacting to this. I'm very curious to hear Bellular's initial thoughts on 9.1. I've been meaning to react to it for a while, but I've just been way too busy with other things. So let's have a look and see what he has to say.
Right then, what is the deal with all of this patch 9.1 business? Should you return to the World of Warcraft for this patch? Well,
I'm not
in today's video, we're just going to try to help you work that out. So what we're going to do today is we will cover the big new features, the pros and the cons of the patch, a few of the outstanding issues that the Shadowlands expansion still will face during this patch, and then we're going to work out whether this is right for you based on the type of content you actually like doing in the game. So first, let's do the new feature overview, and of course, if you already know all of this stuff, you can use the chapters to skip ahead.
Okay, what new
features
features did 9.1
of Domination
bring?
is our new raid. It clocks in at 10 bosses, and that includes Kel'Thuzad and Sylvanas. A bunch of real cool looking stuff, actually. And it brings with it the...
Kel'Thuzad's still alive. Motherfucker won't die. Was Kel'Thuzad a part of the Shadowlands story? God, I don't remember. He's still dead. Yeah, that's right. He's still dead. He's just like getting reanimated over and over and over. When is he introduced in the story, Shadowmancers? I'm sure that you probably have a better idea than I do. Because I'm assuming he does show up, or was that like in the later renown levels after I stopped playing Team Rocket? Half of Necrolord campaign. Oh, okay, so I wouldn't actually know, because despite the fact that I wanted to play the Necrolords, I couldn't play the Necrolords because Blizzard decided, like, you know what, the best covenant for you is Bastion. And I'm just like, but I want to play the Necrolords, and like, tough titties, baby. You get in there and you play Bastion and you'll enjoy it. And Venthyr campaign. Well, I guess I could have played it in my Warrior if I kept playing that, but...
New Domination Shard system, which is a bit more controversial. So, new raid gear covering 5 slots will have Domination sockets.
We already talked about this in plenty of videos and how ridiculous this system is. Not to mention that this system is going to be made obsolete by the time you get to the next patch. So it's like you're going to go through the trouble of optimizing your gear, recrafting your legendaries, and doing all of this other nonsense, and probably... I don't know, but probably by 9.2, they're going to scrap all that and be like, yeah, forget about it. We're just going to... Now there's... what do they call it? Now there's sets. There you go.
And via doing raid and world content, you'll be able to collect and upgrade Domination Shards, each of which has got some power in the actual shard and a type. And if you're wearing 3 shards of the same type, and you're wearing the helm that activates the
This system really is one of those things like, hey, if you get these 3 things and then you put them together and then you wear this other thing, and then if it's a full moon on a Tuesday, then this works.
Domination Shard set bonus, well, then you'll get the set bonus. Now, the shards are all basically generic, right? So it's not spec-based. So basically, it's a slowish upgrade over time. Now, the raid also does drop cooler than normal loot, including Sylvanas' bow, which is a legendary, a quiver, her dagger as well, and some other neat things like some cool trinkets and a sword that will eat other weapons to get more powerful. And still on PvE content, our latest still on PvE legendary, a quiver, her dagger as well, and some other neat things like some cool trinkets and a sword.
Consume a lesser weapon, destroying it utterly to feed the power of Jathus. It's like, here's the thing. I think this is really cool that Blizzard are making like quirky items and trying to experiment with it. The problem is that they're bad at balancing. The last thing that they should be trying to do at this point, I almost feel like, is introducing something that could potentially bring even more imbalance to things that they can't balance already. Like, would this break the game? I don't even know. I don't even know. Another thing that is weird is how he says that Sylvanas' bow is going to be a legendary. So, so hunters get a legendary? What about other classes? Is it just hunters that can equip bows? I think it's just hunters. What about other classes? Do they get legendaries as well? I guess not. Well, I mean, we have legendary armors, I guess. Rurikhan, I want to say started playing Final Fantasy XIV recently because some videos were uploaded, been having a blast. I'm glad you are, Danielle D's 88. And also, I didn't miss your comments, Descalix. I'm glad you enjoy Third Fleet Podcast, dude. It's one of my favorite things to do is Third Fleet Podcast. I got to tell you, I'm super happy that, you know, Gaijin is willing to do that with me, and that's one of my favorite things to just like do. Just like record Third Fleet Podcast, put it up. I freaking love it. Hunters get another legendary. Big surprise. It's not their first one. Okay. I don't think it's going to be a random weapon. I think you would have to choose. I would imagine that you use this and you get like a target cursor and then you choose the weapon that you want to destroy.
That will eat other weapons to get more powerful. And still on PvE content, Tazavesh is our latest mega dungeon. It's an 8-boss long dungeon with some neat puzzle mechanics, some more inventive bosses, I suppose. A really cool setting, fresh cosmetic rewards, and a hard mode that drops item level 233 gear, which is a bit higher than Sanctum of Domination normally.
See, Tazavesh seems
That's
interesting.
That's not all for dungeons, though. Mythic Plus has now got an official scoring system.
Would be a 5-player thing, right, Shadowmancers? Tazavesh is an actual regular dungeon. It's kind of like, what was it in BFA? Mechagon, whatever, the one that was like split up into 3 instances by the time I got to it. Yeah, it's a mega dungeon. So yeah, this is 5-player content. So that I would be very interested in checking out.
Operates kind of like Raider.io, but it's in-game. So it's going to let you basically have an idea of somebody's Mythic Plus experience at a glance, and it is also the system used for unlocking Valor Point upgrade thresholds, as well as numerous achievements. Now, the way that it works is that it will very much incentivize you to do high dungeons on both tyrannical and fortified weeks, and that does mean that it will take longer to get some achievements like Keystone Master. But the pro of this system is that the score is really a lot more flexible.
Big surprise, Blizzard comes up with yet another system. First of all, Blizzard, you know, put something in the game that somebody else did before they did, which is something that they do often. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good considering that the community has pretty much adopted Raider.io as its default thing. I don't think it's necessarily bad that Blizzard are bringing it into the game, but of course that they had to put their own spin on it to guarantee that you have to play longer to do the things you want to do. They just had to do it. They couldn't be like, yeah, we'll put this thing in. No, they were like, no, we're going to put this thing in a way that we can squeeze a little bit more out of this player base. Just squeeze a little bit more money out of them. Make sure it takes them a little bit longer to get to their... The more time we can squeeze out of you, like, we don't care if you're having fun. Go ahead and do this in Tyrannical whether you like it or not. We don't care about fun. We care about you squeezing you for everything.
Blizzard have then also added a Keystone Trader at the end of dungeons. They'll give you 1 reroll per day, and you can basically reroll a keystone if the dungeon that you just did was timed and the key that you want to reroll is at or below the level of the key that you just timed. So while you'll always have to be pushing on based on what you get, or, you know, by doing somebody else's key, what this will do, though, is it'll help you dodge dungeons you really want to skip, or maybe have another chance at targeting a dungeon you really want some gear from. Now, Blizzard have also added in a Keystone Depleter NPC in Ouroboros, and for the dungeons themselves, Blizzard have done a whole bunch of tuning, really nerfing quite a few trash bosses and affixes, especially the oft-hated Storming affix.
Mythic and Mythic Plus enemies auto attack damage reduced by 10%. Item levels of rewards from level 60 normal have been increased by 20. Yeah, of course. This is to get people to catch up gear. Great Vault rewards have been increased by 26 item levels. Yep, catch up stuff. Mythic Plus affixes. The rotation has been updated. Bolster now increases maximum health by 15, was 20, and damage by 20 per stack. They nerfed monsters' health. Necrotic level 61 enemies now apply necrotic wound on every other auto attack. It was every auto attack. Okay, so they nerfed necrotic. Enrage now increases damage then by 7. So they nerfed Mythic Plus across the board. Again, just show Mythic Dungeons enemy and damage health has been increased by 26%. Mythic Plus has been increased by 35% and health increased by 39%. What the hell? So wait, they did increase it, then they thought they were nerfing it. No, they nerfed the affixes. They increased enemies' health and damage. I guess this is because of power creep on players' side. They were getting much better gear. They were tearing through stuff too fast, and they just want to make it harder. Sure, fine. Wish they could balance their game worth a damn. Rurikhan, what could be the thing that for this game to come back to life, because at this state it is in a deep coma? What could be the thing that would bring World of Warcraft back to life? This is going to sound corny as hell, but they would need passion. That's the problem. Like, that's the problem that I see in World of Warcraft, is that I don't feel passion in the development of the game. And I know that that's not something that you can just straight up go like, oh, you know, how are you gonna measure passion? But that's the thing. Like, the completely unrelated game. I mean, because I could just bring up Final Fantasy XIV, but completely unrelated game, but more, recent. Stories 2. You look at Stories 2, you look at those crazy animations, the details, the little things that they put into the world, and you feel the passion in the development team. Same thing for Monster Hunter Rise. And obviously same thing for Final Fantasy XIV. You look at what they're doing. You look at each patch. You look at like the stuff that they put in the game. And you can tell. It's not something that is just tangible. It is something that as you are playing the game, you can feel it. Right? You can feel like, oh man, look at this thing that they did. Oh, this is really cool, right? World of Warcraft doesn't have that anymore. They just don't have it. Because like I've gone back. The big break that I took from World of Warcraft was around Cataclysm. Because that was when I reached the point where I'm just not having fun with the game. And I took a break. I completely skipped Mists of Pandaria. Then I played a little bit of Warlords of Draenor. Couldn't hold my attention. Left again. Played a little bit of Legion. Couldn't hold my attention. Left again. Played a significant chunk of BFA, actually, because I did the entirety of the raid. Couldn't hold my attention. Left again. Then came back again for Shadowlands. Couldn't hold my attention. And the common theme every single time that I come back to World of Warcraft is the reason I stay with the game is the people I'm playing with, because I'm having fun with the people that I'm playing with, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the game. And then the reason I leave is because I have to engage with the game constantly in order to keep up with the people I'm playing with, and I don't want to. Right? And why don't I want to engage with the game outside of the time that I'm playing with my friends? Because it's not fun, because I don't see the developer's passion. So what does it need? It needs passion. If the development team had passion for the game, you'd be able to feel it. You'd be able to log in and be like, man, you can tell that they really want us to have fun, which is not what you see when you log into WoW. And the best way to fix that would be for them to just straight up play their own game. Just play your own game. Just have like I said, I've talked about this previously. Like, look, just tell Bobby to pay 20 people to play this game, not 24/7, but as their job, 9 to 5 job. It's like, just get 20 people that their job from 9 to 5 is to coordinate with the development team. They're basically QA. Just hire 20 people to do QA, and their job is to coordinate with the development team and play the game from 9 to 5. It's like from 9 to 5, the development team tells them, hey, we need you to test out this system. And they go and they test it. And why does it have to be 20 people? So that they can do mythic difficulty. So that when they're doing the raids, they would be able to do the mythic difficulty instead of putting them on a PTR. Don't put the raids on a PTR at all. This is my opinion. I know that a million people are going to disagree. They're going to be like, oh my God, this would break the world first. You're insane. Are you crazy? How would people, test the raids before the raids came out? Here's this revolutionary concept, right? How about Blizzard test the raids instead of the players, right? Because I know that they do it so that then when they're doing the world first runs, they don't have to be figuring out strategies. They already kind of know what the bosses are going to do and all of that stuff. But to me, that's all a bunch of bullshit. I'm sorry. I completely disagree with all of that stuff. It's like, oh, just going to the PTR, test out the new raid, test out the new dungeon. It's like, no, just have those 20 people that are doing, QA, that their whole job is to play the game, have them test the raid and have them see how it works or not, and have them test out all of the different variations of the raid with different classes so that they can figure out, hey man, shamans aren't healing that well this patch. Maybe we need to, do something about it. Hey man, paladins aren't working all that good. Maybe we need to figure it out. Hey man, warrior tanks fucking suck. Maybe we should fix them. I don't know. Maybe if we had 20 people that are dedicated to testing that shit, maybe you wouldn't need to have the top guilds in the world work for you for free testing this shit on PTRs. So, that would be like a good way to do it, but they're not gonna.
But that's not all, because of course there is the new seasonal affix of Tormented. It adds 4 lieutenants to each dungeon, the defeat of whom will grant each person in your party an anima power, so it's a neat thing to play around. But if you fail to kill them, for each one that is still alive, the final boss will get a big buff. And so far, by the way, it seems like the community opinion is that this is a more fun and just better one than Prideful.
It definitely sounds fun.
There's also a new reward. If you time a dungeon on +20, you'll actually unlock a teleport to that dungeon, making it super handy to travel the Shadowlands. Now for PvP...
Why? No, seriously, why? Why does it have to be +20? Why couldn't it be +10? Is it so that when we do parties, everybody has to waste the time of, okay, guys, we did the party. Everybody run to the mythic dungeons. Like, you always have to be waiting on someone who's just like sitting there grinding AFK, even though they've joined the party. They joined the party so friggin' long ago because they've been waiting. And they're just like across the world. And you have, okay, everybody go. And now I go. And now you summoned. Now you died because you had war mode on and I had war mode off. It's like, to me, make this easier to get. Then again, I don't know how easy it is to do +20s. Back when I started, back when I left, like, my group was doing like +14s, I want to say. That's kind of like where we were. I actually don't remember. But this should just be easier to do, like straight up. And it's weird for me to say that something should be easier. You guys know this is weird. But like the functionality of teleporting to a dungeon, it should just be easier. Like, I'm sorry. Just make it easy.
Peers, you lot aren't getting any new maps or anything, but you are getting something pretty big for gameplay. A PvP talent rework. Many talents are gone, many new ones have been added. This is going to shake up the PvP meta, and that will bring you a bunch of new gameplay. PvP gearing is then also changed, with PvP gear basically operating like it did in Warlords of Draenor, having a slightly lower base item level, but then increasing significantly in item level upon entering PvP combat. This should help PvP gear always be your best option for PvP, but there's one or two quibbles about those shards of domination. We'll mention that later.
This is something personal, and I know that this is, dude, we've been pausing way too much. But this is something personal, and I know that this is just one of those things that a lot of people disagree with, but I really don't like the separation that they do for PvP and PvE gear. And I know that it has to be done because otherwise people gear up in weird ways and whatnot, but I've always thought that that was a pain in the ass because it meant that, like, oh, I want to engage in PvP. Okay, now you have to do this separate grind because you need to go get PvP gear because you can't actually use your PvE gear because it's going to suck for PvP. It's like, if you want to do it like that, just make gear not even matter. Like, because, like, seriously, why are we doing this? Oh, so that we can balance PvP. Well, if you want to balance PvP, make gear not matter. Boom, done. Fixed. There you go. Now you can balance it all you want. I think that's what they do in 14, actually. I think your gear is like, whatever. You can be fighting people like level 30 and the gear is not really a big deal. But the thing is, it just doesn't work for a lot of people because they want to do that grind and they want to, you know, oh, I got the gear that's better than yours and I'm going to win because my gear is better. And to me is like, I don't want to win because my gear is better. I want to be able to win because I'm better. That's the interesting part. I want to be able to win the PvP thing because I played better than you. Not because I have the bigger stick that hurts more.
Later. Now, of course, you can also get the usual seasonal rewards and the vicious mount, plus, a nice little thing, they've finally fixed the Comp Stomp Brawl, so it's back too. Torghast then, it has been reworked. Well, just its regular mode anyway, and it is now 5 floors long instead of 6, it has no death counter, and it's based on a new scoring system. So depending on basically your speed and your thoroughness, you will get a score. And that score will end up giving you basically between a 1 and 5 star rating. Now, as a part of this, you also get this little streak bar. And if you fill that up via killing and clicking, it will empower you. Now, that empowerment, along with a bunch of other things, can be upgraded using the Box of Many Things, which is essentially Torghast's version of the horrific vision upgrade system. So,
Are you for real? Are you for fucking real? See, this is it didn't freeze me. I froze because I'm just like, dude, why? It's like, just why? Jesus. Oh my God, dude. It's like, okay, there's your talent tree for your character. Cool. Love it. Now here's another talent tree for this expansion. Wait, what? Yeah, this talent tree only just for this expansion. But why? Don't worry about it. This talent tree just for this expansion. Now, here's a talent tree that you go through when you're going through Torghast, which is temporary power-ups. Wait, so that, and now here's a talent tree for that. It's like, wait, and now here's talents for your legendaries. Fuck! Like, do they... It's like, it's not like this is too complicated for me. Sure, I can come in here and I can figure this shit out. I'm sure it's no big deal. But it's like, do you realize... Imagine trying to explain, and just really think about this for a second, okay? Imagine trying to explain to a brand new player, maybe not even a brand new player, like a returning player that hasn't played World of Warcraft in like a year. Imagine trying to explain this to them. Systems don't necessarily need to be like super simple so that literally everyone can understand them. But they don't need to be like this. I feel like they don't need to be like, here's a talent tree for this, here's a talent tree for that, a talent tree for this, another one for that, and for this, blah, 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 blah. It is just, you spend more time trying to figure out what system you're working towards and which thing is the better thing for the system that you're or you just go to Wowhead and be like, okay, what's the most efficient one? And they just give you, okay, here's what you need. Put this, 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 and this. I think it's too much. It's systems on top of systems on top of systems. And I get it. For someone who is playing it actively, you look at this and like, whatever. And if I was playing it actively, I'd look at this and be like, whatever. Doesn't make any difference to me. And it doesn't. But try to think of it as a new player's perspective, as someone who's trying to get back into the game. It's insane.
After Torghast runs, you'll get some points, you can spend them in the research tree, and it's pretty much a weekly gated thing. Torghast then also has new cosmetic rewards for you. There's a bunch of things for your back slot, and there's also new shoulders.
Finally, cosmetic rewards from Torghast.
Getting a meat mount, really cool looking mount, for clearing each wing on the hardest layer with 5 stars.
See, this is a good thing.
Legendaries have also seen some change.
This is a very good thing.
Item level 250 and 260, and having easier acquisition, as Soul Ash now drops far more, and is also sort of bound on account via a new tradable item. Then, for cosmetic lovers, you guys are actually getting a decent amount too. There's many new mounts to get. There's the new shoulder transmogs, the new back transmogs via Torghast. There's a Maw-themed Sanctum of Domination set that it's like the full legendary set, basically. It looks really cool. As well as some neat armor and weapons from Tazavesh. There's transmog glasses, and of course a bunch of pets and Covenant things too. Now, content-wise, beyond what I've covered so far in today's video, there is the new zone of Korthia, and there is a new subzone of the Maw, as well as, of course, the removal of the Eye of the Jailer and the removal of mounting restrictions. Now, Korthia's got a daily narrative, a daily...
You can mount on the Maw? You can mount on the Maw? Dude, it's like World of Warcraft players are shackled in a basement somewhere. Like, oh, Blizzard, please, no. And Blizzard goes down there and gives them like a warm glass of water. It's like stale water, but they're giving them a drink. They're like, here you go. You can drink some water today. That's what it's like. That's what it feels like for Blizzard. Just like, hey, you can mount in the Maw now. You mean that the Maw is not this insufferable piece of hot garbage content that I have to do every goddamn day? I can actually mount so that I can get out of this festering cesspool of a hole in the ground a little bit faster? Jesus. I know you can mount there with the special mount. I know, Shadowmancers. But you still have to like put in a bunch of work to get that mount. So what was the point of not having mounts before? The point was to have you suffer. That's the point. The point was to slow down your progression, to force you to just like be stuck in there for ages. And it sucked.
Quest reputation and a rares and treasures reputation called the Archivist's Codex. Now, what this means in terms of things to get for your character, well, zone upgrades, cosmetic rewards, item level 200 catch-up gear that can be upgraded all the way to item level 233. Eventually, it's kind of gated. Now, we'll also get new campaign steps that continue on the 9.0 lore, as of course we learn about the dominated Anduin, our enemies' plans, maybe we'll get to learn some of the Jailer's motivations, and we'll be visiting the pasts of some characters like Uther in a few neat quest lines. There's quite a lot of lore, actually, though of course that's stuff that will unlock weekly as you earn renown. So, that is your overview of this patch. Now it's
time for an ad.
It's time for some pros and cons. Kicking it off with the pros, look, mega dungeons and raids are great. That's a thumbs up, that's a bunch of content you can just go and do. That's what I'll be doing. Then the PvP talent change and PvP gearing change I think is all stuff that's moving in the right direction, so it should shake that up in a good way. Also, there's many cosmetics to go after, so if that's your jam, you'll have plenty to do. Then I'd say that the general Korthia gameplay loop, while not being incredible, it certainly does beat the whole do the Maw plus world quests in 9.0.
So this replaces the Maw?
That is a plus. As for
So wait, Korthia replaces the Maw? So you can, instead of doing the Maw, you just do Korthia instead? Is that how it works? Shadowmancers, you probably have the answers to this, right? Come on, Shadowmancers, help me out, because I'm actually not playing the game right now, so I don't know. But it seems like that's the case, the way that Bellular is talking about it, instead of like running around doing, actually you're on a break too. Crap, nobody's playing the game, so we don't know. But let's assume it is, because the way that Bellular is describing it, it seems like that's what it's supposed to do. That is a very good thing, because fuck the Maw. And fuck World Quest while we're at it too, because like World Quest in Shadowlands was like friggin' someone grading their... Grading? Is that the right thing? You know, fingernails on a chalkboard, like. That's about the level of enjoyment that I got out of the Maw and World Quests. I actually prefer Torghast.
Yeah, I think overall it's a pro in that it does have a few neat ideas. I will say, though, it does feel a little bit conservative in terms of the quantity of content. Torghast, then, as a pro, it's less of a pain point, but it's not actively great, but it is less of a pain. So it is better, which is a pro.
I love that. Hey, this content is less of a pain to do. Imagine me going on to like stories to and being like, hey man, it doesn't feel as bad to play today. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get carried away. I'm sorry.
But I don't think it's where it should be.
They gave us some fresh bread on our shit sandwich. Still has that shit filling though. It just doesn't have moldy bread anymore.
Which I guess is a con. So this is a pro-con. A prom. And also quality of life changes. There have been a few, like the bind on account soul ash. That stuff is good. Cons then. Well, dumb systems are dumb. Domination shards could have been quite good, but the specific implementation is just a bit frustrating. There's also many outstanding problems that are still outstanding. There's also not really a massive amount of content in this patch, and some of the content just isn't incredible. Korthia does feel like it's the best they could do, but for the whole City of Secrets promise, I think it feels a little bit small. I think it could have been a lot more. I just feel like it could have been far better realized with more time, and I think this is somewhere where COVID production issues are certainly felt. Then the Covenant assaults that happen in the Maw and Korthia, they are fine, but they are very par for the course. They are essentially condensed versions of the 8.3 zone assaults, you know? Do 4 quests, kill a rare, done. Not super hype. I would like to see World of Warcraft just get a bit more new and fresh. So essentially, it feels like Timeless Isles sort of redo attempt 5 million, but it's in a darker zone that, you know, maybe won't be as appealing to people. Some quality of life stuff has been added, which is a pro, but it does feel like it's too little too late. I mean, why did it take this long to get a Keystone vendor or a depleting NPC? Also, no refinement.
Do you really want to know the answer why it took so long to get a Keystone vendor? Because nobody at Blizzard does Mythic Plus, so they don't understand that what the community does when they get a key that is too high is they have to go inside the instance and then activate the key and then go outside the instance and then reset the instance. I think that's how it went. And then once reset the instance, you lose the key and they give you one level lower. And then you do this as many times as it needs to get to the difficulty that you want. And the reason Blizzard hasn't fixed this before is because they don't fucking play Mythic Plus and because they don't fucking listen to their community, and there is literally no excuse why they haven't done it earlier. People have been doing this, I don't even know since when, because like I was introduced to this last expansion. I'm assuming people have been doing this since the system's been in place, which is ridiculous.
To the 9.0.5 Valor Point system. It seems like this expansion has a bunch of issues that really should have been fixed in 9.1, not 9.1.5. Shards of Domination, then, the potential is completely squandered, making them something that I think is neutral at best and a frustration at worst. So that's roughly the pros and cons. I mean, certainly if you want to throw another con in there, the whole Anima loop still doesn't feel great. The whole Sanctum upgrade loop still doesn't feel great. And I guess that leads me in to outstanding issues. Shadowlands, while it really did nail the first few weeks in terms of powering up your character and stuff like that, it did end up having quite a few issues, and many of those are outstanding. So Conduit Energy is still in the game. Need I say more? It's a bit of a dumb thing. I mean, imagine balancing making something to essentially limit and throttle the top 1% of players in a way that's just annoying to them, but barely noticeable to anyone else. To me, it seems like all it's accomplished is pissing people off and making PTR class testing a total nightmare. So it seems like that's a waste of time, and it still will be. Conduits then.
Does it slow down progression? Yes. Good. That's their objective. That is literally their objective. It's like, anything that we can put in the game to slow everybody down to a crawl, we'll do it, dude. It's like, the top 1% of players want to min-max their way to really have fun, to make sure that they can always be at their top tip shape. We could fix this in two ways. We could give them like a summon that would allow them to do it in the dungeon so that they wouldn't even have to get out to go to their order hall and do the thing. Or we can make it so fucking hard for them to do it that they won't want to do it at all. Guess which one Blizzard picked?
I mean, there's more stuff for the empowered conduits and stuff now. Some of them are fine, but Blizzard have continued their upgrade system from 9.0. So you better hope that your ideal conduits drop somewhere at a high item level. Even with that, though, to max them out at item level 252, you will feel the need to grind out random conduit upgrade items. And this is the sort of thing that does not feel good. It just feels like it disrespects your time, and I'm sad they've continued that.
That's because it is.
9.1. Also,
it is
Blizzard
a disrespect
talked
of your
about doing
time.
Something to let people quickly swap covenants.
And very quickly, for those of you that don't follow WoW, this random upgrade of conduits, let me just explain to you guys how that works, okay? Because I know that Bellular's not going to get into it, because probably most people watching this video are aware of how it works, but a lot of people in my channel might come here from Monster Hunter or, just 14, and you might not exactly know what these conduit things are. So, how does it work? So you have a talent tree, and you put conduits in that talent tree. Conduits are essentially abilities. So think of it like this. My Paladin, one of the strongest abilities that I had was a shield throw that would hit 3 targets, just by default. It was just a shield throw that hits 3 targets. If I join the Bastion Covenant, I would be able to trigger that thing one more time on a 1-minute cooldown. So I'd be able to do my regular shield throw, then I'd be able to do the special divine shield throw. And then there would be one conduit in there that would just I don't remember the exact description of what the conduit did, but basically it made that ability where I press it every 1 minute to throw the shield just deal a ridiculous amount of damage. I think it had an opportunity to proc 3 times, something like that. So you'd throw the shield, and then after you hit the first target, you'd throw the shield again and again and again, and just bounce through everything and would deal a ton of damage. So there was a conduit that did that, right? And just like that, you can imagine conduits that do all kinds of crazy stuff for all kinds of different class abilities, so on and so forth, right? And you're like, okay, that sounds like a good thing, right? You get that conduit, cool beans. The problem is conduits, very much like your gear, had item levels. So if that conduit was at item level, I don't know, let's say 160, there was a percentage chance of that effect happening, which is I don't know, let's say 10%. I don't know the exact numbers at this point because I haven't played in too long. If the item level of that conduit was at 180, then it would be 20%. If it was at 200, it'd be 30%. And, the higher it goes, the better that thing becomes. So obviously you'd be okay, so you want to upgrade that conduit, right? Yeah, of course I do. So how do you upgrade conduits? Well, in my case, because I was playing a paladin, there would be a pool of God knows how many conduits. I don't know how many there are. There's a ton of them. There's a lot. There's a lot of conduits. And whenever I do certain dungeons, there's a chance. Was it raids? It was raids and other places where you could get the reward. Whatever. Whenever you do those activities that would reward your conduits, there's a chance of them rewarding you the conduit. And then the conduit that they reward you is random. So it's hey, I really want the shield throw conduit. But instead, they'd give you a conduit that would be for retribution, which is the DPS spec of the paladin instead of the tank. I'm oh, okay, let's try to get another upgrade. Oh, this time I got a conduit for holy, which is the healing spec of the paladin. Okay, let's try that again. Oh, this time I got a conduit for prot, but it's not the one that I want. Okay, let's try that again, and 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 again. And you will never get the conduit that you actually want. So there you go. Didn't Dungeons Mythic Plus have specific conduit loot tables? Yeah. But it's not this dungeon 100% drops this conduit. It would always be I don't know, 2 or 3 in them or something. It is a minor upgrade, but if your conduit is sitting at 160 or whatever, you still need to go get a better one. Yeah, it's a minor upgrade, but you need to keep upgrading it so that it keeps getting better. So it's like the Kulftoroth Siege and World. Pretty much. Pretty much like that.
After patches, because of course a patch can really have big balance concerns. I believe Ian said that in a Q&A during beta, but that's not here in 9.1, so that's a pity. The Covenant swapping thing is still a friction bonanza. Then, while alt-friendliness is better, I still don't think it's good enough. I mean, Covenant, Sanctum, Anima upgrade achievements are not account-wide, which feels bad. You can't skip the Maw on a new alt. You can skip aspects of the 9.0 campaign, but not the 9.0 Covenant campaigns. So if your alt is in the same Covenant, perhaps for balance reasons as your main, you'll just have to redo the entire thing. And that is not particularly fun. I think it is rather daunting. And it's odd because that's a problem, yet of course they do give us in this patch a non-Covenant campaign skip, taking that whole sort of Bolvar questline straight to the 9.1 state.
I like that these ads now take a little bit longer to load. Gives me time to mute them.
Bloody hell, you might have been listening to me for a while now, and you're probably just thinking, well, is the damn thing different to play? Okay, so the main thing here is that there is new content in the niches that Warcraft does really well. Raids and dungeons, as well as some nice PvP changes and nice Mythic Plus changes. So for most active endgame players of World of Warcraft, it's more of the same, but with new content, which I think is excellent. That's why we're turning up. That's why I'm excited.
New content is good.
The notable difference is that the whole Korthia Maw world content gameplay is, generally speaking, much better than, I don't know, if you were just doing Shadowlands world quests before. Now, it does not really stand out amongst WoW's long list of patch zones, but it is better than what we had.
At least you can mount on it.
There are dumb things, like it being an improvement on 8.2's benthic gear in every way, in terms of its catch-up system, other than you just can't choose the slot that you get base items for. It's completely random, which is very silly. It's the same WoW systems.
Everything is random. Everything. This is one thing that they really need to cut down on World of Warcraft, and is the amount of randomness. Conduits are random. The whatever benthic gear thing he's talking about is random. Everything is random. There's random. The stuff you get from the vault is random. There's so much randomness on top of randomness on top of randomness. Jesus.
Design team making strange moves that seem very blind to their past lessons, but with all new content, most of which is great, because their encounter designers are generally quite great. So bored, casual players will have more to do this time. I mean, easily a month sub, but do remember, they do time gate the campaign weekly, so you can't play it all at once within one subscription. Endgame players, I think, will have similar frustrations.
He said everything that you need to know. You can't play it all in one subscription. Do you think that's by chance? It's like, oh, oops, we developed this in a way that it actually means if you want to play all of the content that we have, you're going to have to sub for 2 months. Oops. When you get a new patch, imagine if you get a new patch in Final Fantasy XIV and they have a certain amount of, MSQ, and they let you do like one MSQ quest a week. How ridiculous would that be? You can do one new quest for the MSQ every week. That's what they do. That's what their renowned system is. You do one MSQ quest every week. It's like, it's completely disrespectful of the player's time. Because like, listen, if I sub for a particular patch that comes out in 14, I can go in, do literally all of the content in that patch if I want to, in like 2 or 3 days. Depending on how proficient you are at playing Final Fantasy XIV. Then you can continue grinding that stuff So like, for instance, if it's a raid, you can continue grinding the raid until you get the item that you want for the week. Then next week you can grind it again for, you know, more items and stuff like that. But whenever you want, and you're just like, you know, I did all the story thing. I've seen the raid. I don't really care that much about the gear. Maybe I just don't like the transmog, whatever. I'm done. Cool. Yeah, we'll see you on the next patch. Why is this a bad thing? And then it's like, hey, I can go play Monster Hunter, or I can go play, I don't know, Persona. I can go play literally anything in my backlog. Instead of being fucking stuck here with shackles, waiting until next week for you to give me the next fucking story crumb of a story that sucks ass to begin with.
To what they had before, but they will have more content to enjoy.
It's like, here's a shit nugget. You can come back next week to get another shit pellet.
Torghast then will make you much less frustrated, but it still is very much tied to player power, and that constrains what Torghast can essentially be, which essentially means it is still Torghast, but it's less of a pain to do, and your runs will be a bit shorter. So that's essentially it. With that said, is it right for you?
No.
For the casual WoW fan, I'd say maybe just resub for a month or two to see some of the new story, lore, sort of content, things like that. Maybe hop into the raid on, on normal. Maybe check out Tazavesh, see if Korthi is fun. Just that, wait, the campaign is actually time-gated, which is quite unlike that other big MMO out there when its story content comes out. So you might just feel like you've got to be subbed waiting for the weeks to tick by to get the narrative. You know, if you're there.
So with the catch-up system, wouldn't it be better if you would like sub a month from now? Instead of subbing this month, just like sub maybe even 2 months from now, right? You sub 2 months from now, and then you use the catch-up system, where instead of, getting your one shit pellet of story every week, you can get like 3 or, I think it's 3, right? I think with the catch-up system, you can do like 3 things for the renown. I forget how it works. But you could get like 3 shit pellets every week instead of just 1. Hey, that's way better.
For that, so kind of not great for a content tourist, but I suppose merely just a frustration for all of our next sets of players. I mean, the easiest way to get the most bang for your buck out of this is to probably wait until the same month that Sylvanas comes out on LFR, because by then you should be able to use the Rapid Renown catch-up to basically do all of the new...
I swear I didn't see the video. I swear. I didn't see the video. He's saying literally the same thing I am.
New content, including the new raid, in a month. So if you're purely just content tourist, you want to do a quick blast of WoW, that's almost certainly the most efficient way to do it. And of course, if you don't have to wait for time gating and stuff like that, it might actually be more fun to play because it might be, well, better paced feeling. But hey, if you want some lore, just sub to us. It'll be free and you'll get a whole bunch of it. Okay, next.
True. If you want the best World of Warcraft lore experience, just sub to Bellular. It's better than playing the game. Because at least Bellular respects your time. Doesn't give you a shit nugget of a story every week.
Next.
Oh my god, dude.
If you take our previous player profile and add in that you are a collector, then there's actually a ton to do in patch 9.1, making it easily worth a month or 2 of your subscription. Because while you're waiting for those Covenant campaigns to unlock, there'll be plenty of mounts and things like that to grind out. I mean, seriously, judging by how long it took to get our cosmetics master document prepared and put together, you'll have plenty of things to do. Especially if you like the transmogs on top of the mounts, because there's a lot of cool new mogs to go for. Well, if we add being a raider to what I just said, especially perhaps just a casual heroic raider, maybe a bit like me, then, well, there are still quite a few issues in terms of game systems and the amount of grinding that one may feel like they've got to do in order to, not fall behind. Now, I'm sure the content will be great.
There you go. They didn't fix my biggest problem. There's still a fuck ton of grinding that you gotta do in order to not fall behind. And for all the people that keep telling me that you don't have to do it, you're wrong, and I feel bad about you.
But it would just be lovely if we could kind of get old school tier sets and just call it a day, so that, you know, our thoughts could go elsewhere. We could just focus on the fun. But certainly, if you are in a guild, you might just be best to, you know, stick around until all of the people who want to get the legendary bow and things like that have got it, and then halt till the next patch. I mean, hopefully the raid will be pretty fun. And certainly, if you're like me, you're the type of player who will enjoy Tazavesh, so there is plenty to do. Okay, let's go for the PvPers. Unfortunately for PvP, there are potentially quite a few issues with how Shards of Domination from the raid could impact PvP, even though there is a 50% nerf to them in PvP. And there's also no changes to counter the boosting problem that happened in Season 1, or at least no changes that I think will actually work. But the rest of the things for PvP actually are in a good direction. Now, those who still want the WoW team to be making new battlegrounds, well, you guys will still be sad. But hey, given the team's track record, you're used to not getting much new PvP content. It does seem, though, that the fundamental systems are all moving in a good direction with this patch, making it, I think, a more interesting patch than most for PvP players. For the Mythic Plusers, of course, there's no new dungeon to do in Mythic Plus, but the general quality of life changes and the changes to the dungeons themselves are actually quite great. Now, that said, there is zero new Mythic Plus content. It is just another season of gear progression and a new affix. So that's great for players who are content, just keep on doing M+, but I don't think it's really enough for what M+ seems to be in the game. Of course, remember, Tazavesh will hit the Mythic Plus system in patch 9.2. But I will say this, for a lapsed dungeoneer like myself, who has not spent much time in these dungeons, well, this is the best version of these dungeons. This is going to be a better Mythic Plus season than Season 1, I think, save some domination gear issues. But this is basically a perfect time to start Mythic Plus, in my opinion. And that's what I'm going to be doing. For the cutting edge then, look, it's the same old. There'll be a ton of stuff to keep on top of during the initial weeks and months as you try to optimize your gear and your class for Mythic rating. The Maw grind for sockets and content upgrades, that has got a facelift and a change of scenery, and that it now happens in Korthia instead of the Maw, and that is a better thing. But the same fundamental issues are still going to be here. But hey, you guys must be used to those now, right? I mean, it's great. You get a new
Straight up making fun of raiders. Like, hey, aren't you guys used to eating that shit sandwich? You guys love that shit sandwich. I was gonna keep feeding you that same shit sandwich. Enjoy it.
Flavor of being fooled around with every few patches. It must be exciting. Okay, what about me then? As for me, it's pretty simple. Is there a new raid? Yes. Mega Dungeon? Yes. Is it in line with my personal gameplay goals? Yes. Am I sad about all the downsides and concerned that World of Warcraft is taking on the gameplay structure of Destiny 2 at Endgame? Yes. Am I worried that they are far too slow to respond to player feedback, and that this will be another issue of WoW being a paid beta until somehow the end of the expansion feels sort of okay, but perhaps only by the end of the final patch, after the final patch gets its patches? Still concerned about that? Yes. Look, it's another serving of the
See, guys, here's what happened. Bellular, his video editor, did something here to hide something, and I feel like it's important that I reveal it. So, through my technology, through my video editing technology, I can actually edit videos directly in real time on YouTube right now, and I can find the hidden element that he hid in this video. It's this one. See, I found this earlier. It's like there's a little bit of this. I think it's actually replacing that World of Warcraft box right there. That's what he put there to cover it. But there's like a bunch of this. Bellular. I'm joking, dude. I love you, Bellular. Don't be mad at me.
Modern World of Warcraft experience. Will this convert people to the modern team's way of doing things? No. Will this make people who like the current way of things happy? Yes. That's it. Think about your reaction to the words that I have just spoken, and you'll basically know if it's time to resub or not. For most World of Warcraft fans, I'd say there's a good 1 to 2 months of content here. Certainly not 6. I mean, hey, new raid, new mega dungeon, that's pretty sweet. It will be fun. They do a banging job in those. That's more than enough for me to want to play, even though that is in the face of the game having a bunch of silly issues. That's the video. Let me know if you're going to be resubbing or not. And I suppose...
I'm not.
See ya? Yeah, I landed here. Wait, no, I'll shill our Patreon. Go to our Patreon. We've got podcasts, we've got, physical loot, pins, stuff that you get. This is all very cool. Okay, now I'm truly going. Bye.
Oh, man. Good God. There's nothing. So, yeah. World of Warcraft is still... The time is not... 9.1 is not the time. 9.1 is not the time. Feels bad. Feels bad, but it is very informative. Learned a couple of new things that I wasn't aware of, because I do want to keep up with this thing as we keep, checking up on what World of Warcraft content creators are trying out in 14 and how they're enjoying it versus how World of Warcraft is going. So yeah, this is a really good video, and unfortunately, World of Warcraft is still not there. If you're a World of Warcraft player and you really enjoy it, because sometimes a lot of people, they like to comment, they be like, Rurikhan, you didn't even play World of Warcraft, like you can't talk about it. And it's like, listen, I played World of Warcraft for a significant chunk of my life. I played the Shadowlands expansion. I know exactly what people are doing right now in World of Warcraft, and I know exactly that I don't want to be doing that, because it's just, and I'm not the only one. Like, you look around and you see the redonkulous amount of people that are, trying out Final Fantasy XIV so soon after patch 9.1. Like, that's a sign that there's problems in this game. And I'm pointing them out not because I want to dunk on World of Warcraft players, but because I would actually like to one day, and this is no joke, I want to make sure that people really understand this. I would like to one day watch one of these Bellular videos and go like, hey, you know what? I'm going to sub to WoW for a month. Very few things would make me happier than that, to be quite frank, because I still have fantastic memories of World of Warcraft. And I know that I dunk on it a lot. I know I dunk on World of Warcraft a lot. Why do I do that? Because I want it to be better. I want World of Warcraft to become a game that I would like to play again. I want that for World of Warcraft. And I think that that would actually be better for Final Fantasy XIV as well. To have good MMOs is a good thing. For all the MMOs. The better an MMO is that is active, the better it is for all the MMOs, because the other MMO development teams are going to want to one-up it. They're going to want to do better. They're going to want to put more effort in. The state in which World of Warcraft is actually terrible for everyone. What is this at? McDonald's bottle promotion. I don't know, dude. I don't care. Either way, I just want to make sure that people understand that. It's like, the reason I'm watching these is because eventually I would love to see one of these Bellular videos and be like, hey, you know what? The time has come to give it another shot. But I just don't believe it's ever going to happen. Because the philosophy, the development philosophy, like I said earlier in this video, is like, the passion of the team, I don't feel it. I can go into a game and I can usually tell whether or not the team that developed this game is passionate because of how you feel as a player when you are playing it. And the way I feel when I'm playing World of Warcraft, when I played Shadowlands at the beginning, is I felt like, someone was spitting on my drink. Like someone was, they're just like, hey, here's this Coke. And you're just like, well, I don't want to drink this Coke. It's got spit on it. And they're just like, oh, you want another Coke? And I'm like, yeah, I'd like another Coke. And they're like, okay. Here you go. And I'm just like, well, this one even has snot in it. What the fuck?